Rein Shroud is a young guy with beast tamer abilities, which means he has the power to communicate with animals and form contracts with them to use their powers for his benefit. Thanks to these abilities, he lands a position in a hero's party and helps with transport, reconnaissance, and logistics. He works hard to support his comrades in the background, a valuable job he's been entrusted by the party, or so he thinks. In reality, other members look down upon him because he lacks combatant skills. Within just 6 months of working with them, Rein gets fired by the arrogant party leader, Arios Orlando. They say he's useless to his face, and that he only holds them back because they constantly have to save him from monsters. Shocked to hear what his comrades really think of him, Rein silently takes his hero cloak off and leaves. Rein sits on a bench at the town square and contemplates all the harsh remarks the members had thrown at him before, which he had overlooked. He needs to think of a plan to keep making a living. At that moment, a group of kids run over to him and ask him to show them his trick again. Rein gets up and casts a spell at a bird above them to form a temporary contract. With that, the bird lands before them and gives a gracious bow to the kids who clap with joy. Rein ends the contract and releases the bird, which flies away. The children chat about how they will become a beast tamer like Rein someday. Rein questions why they don't dream of becoming a brave hero, to which the kids reply that the heroes are a snobbish group of people who look down upon commoners. They would much rather earn a fortune by becoming an adventurer traveling the world. This sparks a light bulb in Rein's head about his next course of action. Later in the day, he goes to the Adventurers Guild to look for jobs. Nately, the receptionist clarifies that all prospective adventurers must first pass a trial quest to prove they meet the basic requirements to become an adventurer. He must kill 10 goblins and collect 20 medicinal herbs to pass the test. Rein uses the help of a squirrel to find a group of goblins, which he kills easily despite his lack of combat skills because they are F-ranked monsters. While counting the rune stones left behind by the goblins, he hears a scream from deeper in the woods. Rein runs toward the scream to see a D-rank killer tiger attacking a helpless woman. He tries to stab the tiger's back, but its skin is so tough that his mage's blade breaks. The tiger diverts its focus on him, prompting Rein to tell the girl to run away. However, she doesn't run away. Instead, she jumps several meters up in the air and uses the momentum to kick the tiger down, killing it. After getting a better look at her, Rein realizes she is no ordinary woman but a cat spirit, a type of ultimate species. Ultimate species are a unique class of beings with immense powers and strength, and cat spirits are a type of ultimate species on the brink of extinction. Although they aren't magic users, cat spirits have evolved to possess tremendous athletic abilities. Rein feeds her some of his food supplies since she looks exhausted after defeating the tiger. All energized again, the cat spirit introduces herself as Canaid and thanks him for saving her life. She says she got bored living in her small community, so she decided to travel and landed up here and met him. From the moment she saw him, she has sensed strong powers within him and can tell he must be a very talented beast tamer who can tame her. With the motive of getting to know her better, he agrees to tame her. He starts the ritual by biting his thumb and spilling a drop on his palm to form a magical rune. With that, he chants the words and successfully forms a contract between them. Both of them have a rune on their hand to symbolize the bond between them. After that, Rein continues with his trial quest. He forms temporary contracts with a bunch of rabbits to gather medicinal herbs for him. Watching this, Canaid gets super impressed with his abilities. Normal beast tamers can usually only handle forming one temporary contract at a time. However, Rein is able to not only form multiple contracts at a time, but also while he has tamed Canaid, an ultimate species. This is beyond the scope of an ordinary beast tamer. He doesn't think it's that impressive and brushes it off. Rein returns to the guild with all the required items and passes the test. He is officially proclaimed an F-ranked adventurer of the Horizon Adventurers Guild. Nately gives him his adventurer's card, which acts as his ID from now, and also 50 copper coins as a reward. Isn't enough to find lodging and fulfill his other basic needs, so he decides to complete more jobs later that day. Canaid waits for him at the guild's diner. When he returns, a brutish man approaches them both and tries to get Canaid to join him for lunch instead of Rein. She defends her master Rein's strength and tells the man to get lost. This bruises his ego, and he challenges Rein to an arm wrestling competition to determine who is really stronger. The winner gets to keep Canaid. Although Rein would normally never accept such challenges, he wants to nip this in the bud and prevent any chances of him harassing Canaid in the future. He sighs and sits on the chair, expecting to lose a miserable loss. However, the second the match begins, Rein floors the man's arm so hard that the table breaks, and the man falls down on the floor crying. Nately comes to check the commotion and gets mad when she sees the man. She apologizes to Rein and Canaid for the nuisance, saying that the man has many complaints against him already and is bound to get suspended from the guild soon. Having said that, she grabs him by the leg and drags him out. Rein wonders where all his strength came from. Kanad explains that one of the perks of the contract between them is that he gains for superhuman strength. Kanad is excited to get started on more quests, but is underwhelmed when they're back in the field collecting herbs. Since Rein is only an F-rank adventurer, they are confined to the very basic of jobs with the lowest of pay. He will be promoted once they gather enough experience. With the help of the rabbits, they collect enough herbs to meet their quota soon enough. When they're about to head back, Kanad's sensitive cat ears hear yelling in the distance. They run to the sound to investigate and see an old man getting harassed by a gang claiming to be part of Ibn Fang. Ibn Fang is an infamous large group of bandits with a reputation for being involved in all sorts of horrible crimes. At once, they both start charging toward the ruffians and take them by surprise. Rein takes care of all the bandits with his newfound strength, and Kanad checks on the old man. The old man warns them to run because everyone who defies the Ibn Fang end up getting tracked down and killed as revenge. Hearing that, Rein decides to hunt them down first. Kanad expresses her concerns of him aiming too high, but he assures her he has a plan. A squirrel leads them to the Ibn Fang's heavily guarded hideout. Rein forms a temporary contract with an Arby, a special type of bee with a very potent paralytic sting that can immobilize a man for 12 whole hours. He asks Kanad to go back to town and bring adventurers and knights in the meantime to help arrest all the criminals. Once she races off to get reinforcements, the RB brings back hundreds of its hive mates. He forms a contract with each of them and orders them to begin their work. All the bandits are paralyzed in no time, and the adventurers that Kanad brought quickly start rounding them up. Rein notices that no knights have shown up, to which one of the adventurers says the knights didn't think it was a big enough deal to come. Suddenly, the cave starts rumbling and loud growls bellow behind huge bars. 3 giant C-ranked monsters called king lizards break out of the bars. Such a scenario is a crisis for even the most seasoned adventurers, but Rein and Kanad beat them up like nobody's business while buying time for the others to take the bandits out and escape. The duo exits the cave to cheering and applause from the other adventurers, making it the first time Rein's work has been appreciated. Meanwhile, Rein's former party members yell at their newly hired beast Tamer for not conducting the reconnaissance properly and endangering the other members' lives as a result. The newbie says their demands have been unreasonable because they expect him to tame 10 to 20 animals at a time. He claims that beast tamers can't handle more than 1 or 2 at once because their brains get fried if they exceed their limit. However, the heroes, being accustomed to Rein's abilities, believe the man is lying and fire him on the spot. The task of arresting and transporting all the bandits takes almost a whole day. The taking down of Ibn Fang is considered so impressive that the guild invites Rein and specially promotes him to an E-rank adventurer and rewards him a generous amount of silver coins. They splurge their money on new equipment, eat a luxurious meal, and finally rent a room for lodging that night. A nice break from camping. A week passes since he met Kanad, and their quests have been smooth sailing so far. One day, Nathalie gives them a quest to get rid of a trouble marker called the Guard Dog that is tormenting people who try to cross the Stride Bridge, the only path to trade from the central continent, where he is from, to the southern continent. Rein doesn't want to pass on the lofty prize of 5 gold coins and gladly accepts it. Rein tries to get information about the identity of the guard dog, but nobody is willing to share. So with no prior knowledge, him and Kanad go to the bridge. As soon as they arrive, a giant red dragon lands in front of them and turns into a woman who tells them to fight her. She admits she is the so-called guard dog and identifies herself as Tanya, one of the dragonoids. It is custom for the dragonoids, one of the ultimate species, to set out on a journey once they turn 15 to train and become strong. She has been waiting for a worthy opponent to fight at the bridge. She challenges them to a 2-on-1 fight, before which she refuses to leave the bridge. She begins by attacking Rein, but he just barely blocks her. She follows it by blowing fire toward them, causing Kanad's tail to get burnt at the tip. Upset, Kanad jumps at her and the two get into a catfight. Pun intended. Both the girls are on equal footing, so Rein tries to step in to tip the balance toward their favor, but Tanya surprisingly grabs them both and flings them into the air and launches a powerful firestorm at them. Kanad grabs Rein mid-air and uses her athletic abilities to dodge the flames and safely land them on the bridge. Having come up with a plan, he asks Kanad to buy him some time. Fully trusting him, she fights Tanya head-on while Rein runs off to the side and looks for the bird he spotted when he was flung in the air by Tanya. He finds it and forms a temporary contract with it. He asks it to bring its friends, each of which he tames as well. Upon his instruction, the birds swarm Tanya and pick on her. Tanya only finds them a mere annoyance and shoos them away. Of course, a dragonoid can't be hurt just by birds. However, before she can take another step, she crumbles to the ground. Rein explains that they are pedo birds, and their colorful plumage signify that they are poisonous. Unable to lift a finger, Tamer accepts defeat. Rein asks her to promise not to cause problems at the bridge again and to come with them once she's recovered. First, they go to the guild to inform Natalie that the matter has been taken care of. Natalie praises them and promises to give them their reward once the guild verifies the claim. She notices Tanya's horns and questions who she is. Rein quickly covers her and claims she's a normal human they met during their quest, and that she's only wearing a costume. If the town finds out there's a dragon in the area, everybody will panic. Next, he escorts her to the woods and asks Tamer to go as far away as possible from the town to continue her training. She is taken aback by this because she expected to be sold by him. Charmed by his kindness and ability, she asks to join them on their adventures for her training. Jealous Kanad hesitantly agrees to her requests, and Rein is more than happy to grow his party. With that settled, Rein forms a contract with Tamer as well and tames her. Later that night, Arios and his party return to the town after an unsuccessful week of exploring the woods. They ran into many obstacles because they couldn't handle the jobs Rein would normally do. Arios decides to take advantage of Rein's niceness by asking him to join the party again, so that they can use him to clear the lost woods and abandon him after. Good luck with that. Anyway, the first quest that the trio does together is exterminating slimes. Slimes are F-rank monsters that any adventurer can kill and are largely ignored. Due to this, their populations sometimes burst and they swarm the town, causing a lot of inconvenience. The trio finds it harder than expected to find many slimes, so Rein employs another strategy. He uses the assimilate skill to transfer his consciousness to the bird temporarily, a skill that other beast tamers can't perform according to Kanad and Tamer. This allows him to use the bird's body and observe things from its perspective, while his actual body dozes off. He goes off to find slime swarms from an aerial view while Kanada and Tamer look after his body. They all gather around a large swarm he found. Tamer asks him if he can cast any spells, to which he says he knows the beginner stuff but can't handle more advanced ones. She tells him to cast Fireball on the swarm. He knows it won't be enough to kill the entire swarm, but tries anyway. He concentrates and yells out, "Fireball!" To his surprise, and unleashes a giant fireball that eliminates all of them. Tanya's hunch turns out right. She guessed that since he acquired Kanad's superhuman strength after forming a contract with her, he also would have acquired Tanya's dragonoid fire magical abilities. Since he's not used to using magic, they use the rest of the quest to improve his control over casting spells. After completing the quest, they get a whole lot of money, which they spend on a lavish dinner. Over dinner, Rein shares that he learned his beast tamer skills in his hometown. He used to live in a nameless village of entirely beast tamers, including his parents. So there was never a moment in his childhood when he wasn't exposed to the art. However, his hometown doesn't exist anymore. One day, when he was just 12 years old, he went off to practice beast taming alone in the woods. Only when he was returning late in the evening did he notice the sky had turned red in the distance and a large area was on fire. His gut feeling told him that something was wrong, and he started running home. When he arrived, he saw the whole village covered in ashes and everybody he knew dead. While he was gone, the village was attacked by monsters. An adventurer party rescued him and took him to an inn where he would earn his keep by doing chores and odd jobs for years. This was his life until less than a year ago when hero Arios recruited him to his party. He had accepted his invitation without hesitation, hoping to make a difference and prevent tragedies like the one that befell his hometown. However, he now realizes that they were just using him. Hearing his story, Kanad and Tamer are proud to have him as their master. Their next quest is to eradicate orcs around the town. Orcs are E-rank monsters that are similar to goblins but are much smarter and often use weapons. They clear several bands of orcs with ease, causing Tamer to take the mission very lightly. However, she gets ambushed by orcs when she least expects it and gets saved by Rein and Kanad. Tamer panics over Rein's minor injury, but he tells her not to worry and heals it with his enhanced healing powers. The incident seems to affect her deeply, and she is too ashamed to show her face to Rein once they return to the town. He walks up to her and asks her what's wrong. She immediately apologizes for letting her guard down and causing him to get injured. He accepts it with a big smile and asks her to be careful the next time because he and Kanad care about her. His kindness leaves her speechless and blushing. They breeze through their quests the next day and start heading back to town. On their way, they run into none other than Arios and his party. Rein reflexively decides to turn the other way and take another route, but Arios stops him. The party is shocked to see him with two ultimate species. Arios tells him that the party ran into problems trying to explore the lost woods on their own and condescendingly asks him to join the party again to provide his services. Thankfully, Rein knows his worth and firmly declines their offer. Seeing him walk away, one of the heroes tells him to wait. She says that their mission in the